I see Tali Reykjavik, I believe I'm saying that right. Welazo, and actually I see two Reykjaviks.
Hey, as long as you're not going like either with the K or like
like
I did not
Reykjavik,
realize
Iceland.
I did not realize until doing YouTube how many different ways there are to say my name.
Mine too.
How close was I? Just give me a
no,
give me a
you're you're very close. The only it's just set, like you don't need the.
I can recognize the would you say Icelandic, or is it Eastern European?
Okay, so it's Eastern European. However, well, the actual name is just gibberish because it was a Slavic name that, because obviously being a Slav in the 1950s was not very well liked, my granddad changed to a K instead of an H, which was the original name. And I do remember a story of my dad saying it in high school. Like his first day, the jocks, like, the bullies or whatever, come up to him. They're like, "Hey, your name? Where's it from, buddy? Like,
that doesn't sound very Catholic.
What is it?"
Oh, no.
And then when he said, "Oh, it's Icelandic," their faces all light up, like, "Oh, yo, cool. We love the Icelanders."
Like,
we love the Icelanders.
They were probably like, "Wait, are you Polish?" Or like, "No, Icelandic." Obviously mine comes from like French D'Artagnan, and a lot of people will try to call me that, but no, I Dartigan. I couldn't. I didn't know how to pronounce it correctly originally when I first learned it, or even spell it. So I was like, Americanized the hell out of it. So just Dartigan, but it's enough. It's originally going to be a live action character I was writing, but that didn't go anywhere. So I just adopted it after I started doing this whole gamer slop stuff.
My backup was always Craven, just because I thought that was always like the name of like a 1970s cop show.
Isn't that the Spider-Man villain?
This week on Craven.
Yeah, he's like the hunter guy. I think,
Craven the Hunter.
Yeah.
I think they try to make him an anti-hero now. I feel like every Spider-Man villain eventually becomes an anti-hero.
I think if anybody were to ask this group of people specifically, we're all villains.
Well, we're considered villains by a lot of people, since some of us here are content creators, and we're like the scum of the earth without real jobs or contributing to society. But hey, I see myself as like the therapist, because I've had a number of people come to me for stress relief. It's like, I need a good laugh. I've had a rough day. Or I was like, "Hey, Dartian, give me a feet joke or something." And I'm like, I can provide. Let me double snap my finger as I say that, emphasize what I'm saying.
Them going to you with that question kind of says more about you than them, though.
Look, I got a unique set of skills, and I got to get paid somehow.
You should see the shit that people ask of me around here.
Oh, give me an example.
See, God.
Tally is the prime trans femme.
Yeah, like I am basically like a magnet for like trans people to start showing up in people's communities.
Hey, I know it's probably got to be a rough time for you right now, so my hat goes out to you.
I mean, like, yeah, kind of is, but I just enjoy the fact that I have effectively I have like necessitated an entire thread dedicated to transness so they don't clog up general.
Oh man,
it's your fault I'm non-binary, Tally.
Godspeed on all of our endeavors then.
I'm the Chef Ramsay. I'm the Chef Ramsay of omelets with how many eggs I'd be breaking.
Excuse me.
Jeez. I know my jokes are bad race, but come on.
Also, am I still a space racist? I noticed that, you know what? Leave it there. It's accurate.
You're literally the renegade.
You're the space racist because you couldn't name the Turian when you guessed, but you got his profession or his place in the game.
Does this mean I'm voting for that terrible, like a human, like a council member who is just like terrible at his job?
Oh God, I hate that guy so much.
Yeah, I got to vote for him now. Huh? Wait, do they even vote in this? You know what? It doesn't seem like a very democratic universe they created there.
Yeah, it kind of happened where like everybody died, and then they were like, "We're gonna appoint the human." Because
did you ever think it's weird that the Spectres are basically just like a secret police force that are above the law?
That's true.
It's like, you know what? It's like, hey, we have this entire secret police force and go and kill and do anything they need and whatever they need by their own decree, and we can't even question them. And everyone seems pretty cool with it.
And they're the good guys who are going to save.
Yeah, and everyone celebrates them. They save the universe, don't you know, by just killing a lot of people. And you know what? They can't even go to trial.
Well, you know what? I should be a good Spectre because there's no way I can be a space racist. I identified Thane's ass immediately. Okay, so like, there's no fucking way.
I gotta push back on that because racists, even space racists, definitely sometimes have fetishes.
Sometimes have fetishes.
Oftentimes have. You can look through history; it's there. You know, it doesn't take much working, but you can definitely find like a violent racist.
How
and
many
even
issues of Fornax does Udina have behind his desk? I bet that dude was like an OG. I bet he had like issue 1. I bet he pre-ordered that shit. I bet he's got variant covers of it.
Oh, I didn't want to go in his office because you never know what was going to be in there. He's like, he'd be like turned around in a dark corner. There's going to be shaking going on. You're like, excuse me, your counselor, not here.
He was the first Kickstarter backer.
Like if they ever do like an audit on him, they're gonna find nothing but like OnlyFans accounts for any like hot any Turian or anything else. He probably would be in the Turians. They're the strict ones. They'd be the ones to step on him.
No. You're not creative enough. Hanar.
Tentacles. That's right.
I love those big stupid jellyfish.
Stupid, sexy jellyfish. All right, they're smooth.
Yeah, hit me up when you start getting it to Voli. All right.
Voli.
I hate that the fact that there's probably already Rule 34 of this, and we're not being as original as we think we are.
Oh,
No, we're
there
definitely
most
not.
definitely is.
Like people like, oh, these guys, they think they're funny. I was jerking it to that last night.
I make Udina look like nothing, bitch.
Like I even started a Patreon where I animate it. You can join, and they probably make more money than us because people be horny these days,
Yeah.
especially for space aliens.
Yeah, but Mass Effect's not making money itself, though.
That's BioWare's fault. And EA's fault, I should say. They're the ones that ruin them.
Come on, BioWare, make a new Mass Effect game so the porn industry can get another boom. Okay, it's been a while. They're really struggling. Okay.
You know, I'm still waiting for a Jade Empire 2. All right, that's what I've been like. Give me that, and I'll be in your corner again. I don't need it. I don't need more of the Dragon Age or Mass Effect. Just give me. I want Jade Empire 2. I'm like the only one that actually is still holding a torch for this game.
I'm hoping that the new Mass Effect game will bring on a technological boom like Elizabeth did in BioShock Infinite Burial at Sea.
Oh yeah, that was incredible. Not not that I watched any of it, but it's the fact that it like inspired everyone to come up with new technology for it.
Creating new technologies.
That was like the Silicon Valley of Rule 34. It's like they were like opening up offices, like we gotta make more of this jerk off material. Get me like the best 3D artists and animators you can find and put them to work.
And then Randy Pitchford shows up, and then instantly the industry crashes.
I'm sorry. You can just mention his name, and all of a sudden, like no jerking off ever again because there's just something extra slimy.
Randy Pitchford's name causes incontinence.
Yeah, I mean, you look like ugh. I'm sorry, like you know that feeling girls get when they like some dude sits next to them at the bar. It's when they like, I'm gonna cover my drink. That's what I feel when I think of Randy Pitchford. Like,
I'm gonna cover my copy of Halo Combat Evolved.
Like also, Randy, can you like give Duke Nukem to someone who can use it? Just play the Duke or all of your games actually, because you ain't using them.
Just give Duke Nukem in its entirety to Gianni, because at this point he's the only person keeping Duke Nukem alive in people's minds.
Turn it over to like whatever 3D Realms doing these days. They release a lot of games now, actually, in Indie Circuit. So there you go. Problem solved.
Give me 3D Realms' take on Brothers in Arms.
Ooh, there we go. Oh, that's a series I haven't thought of in a while. Mainly because I never played it, but I did. Well, no, I played a demo of it.
Man, we should bring back Medal of Honor. Anyway.
Well, that's just COD, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, the very first COD's working title was Medal of Honor Killer.
Yep, because a lot of people made a Medal of Honor went over to it, and they're like, we can't. We just gotta be legally distinct. It's become one of my favorite terms these days because it's more in use than ever.
Yeah, it's just typically it's like we can. I think we can admit like Call of Duty was better than Medal of Honor. With all these other like legally distinct versions of games, they're always just worse. Like all these legally distinct Left 4 Dead 2s are just Left 4 Dead 2 but worse. And
it's weird because the people making all those Left 4 Dead 2 clones are the people who made Left 4 Dead. They're making another one right now that's just basically Left 4 Dead but under a different name because apparently Back to Blood is now a dead game.
This is absolutely why I go on my like sort of like anti copyright like crusade or like wanting it to like go back to 20 years or whatever, because it's like the idea that, oh, this particular team or this particular like, or this person or whoever is going to like be the shepherd of this idea. And it's just like, that like them making a particular thing is also a product of the time and place as well, right? Like people can get worse, or tools that existed can go away, or particular people that were on that team can then go away and, can still have the same brand. Like, I feel like, the whole thing with Marathon was like the biggest example of that recently.
Oh yeah, the team cohesion and the magic of just a specific set of people, like just sometimes they were just like nerds in their like basement making something, and they didn't have the expectations for it to be a big hit. But once it has that expectation, like okay, this last one sold a lot, and now the company has expectations on it, so now they have to like, well, that changes how decisions get made, and oftentimes they lead to very bad decisions, or just that decisions they don't gel very well with the people who love the original, much smaller project. So that's the worry I always have when something that starts off small then gets all the money pumped into it.
Well, I am glad that kind of like more the indie scene has very much been doing like what I always thought they should do, which is okay, so like you go to a big company and say like, hey, we want to pitch like making a new version of this franchise that you have. And then if they say no, they're like, okay, we're now just going to go make it in just 50 Shades of Grey and just change the names and go fuck yourself. Like, I'm so glad more people are doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they usually boil it down to like the core elements and just cut out the chaff. They're like the filler that the big studios put in there to make it a 60-hour game so they can charge it $80 for it.
Yeah, if someone can go out and make Max Payne, like, I remember like Examine Life of Gaming, I remember their video talking about that where it's just like, oh yeah, no, it's not Max Payne, it's Max Payne, so it's just like.
Or now we can also wait for the Lego version like they're doing with Batman where they're just going to make a new Arkham game themselves.
It actually looks really good. Like I've seen what
criminal.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, someone's got to make it if Rocksteady is whatever they're doing now.
Yeah.
So, hey, I'll take it.
Yeah. I mean, because I basically have to do all this from scratch because I don't know any engine coding, but I've been trying to do a game that I'm literally, the title I've called it is not Halo, but I've just smushed it together so it's called Nothalo.
That's the frustrating thing about something like a Mass Effect, because for other games, like that are mostly vibes, like whether it's a franchise like John Wick or Doom or Fear or whatever, or Halo in some cases as well, I think it's easier to sort of make a singular product that kind of is more just about capturing that feel and atmosphere, whereas something with Mass Effect is more difficult because the world is so expansive, and making a Mass Effect game with none of the races or none of the worlds or none of the inner politics is a lot more tricky to kind of nail down.
Yeah.
My ideal Mass Effect is they take Mass Effect and then they take Crusader Kings, the store branches
Right?
and stuff, and combine those somehow in some unholy union. So you have your main character, he's like getting married, having kids, they go off and do their shit, they do incest, whatever happens in Crusader. Something happens in Crusader Kings, all right? I ain't into that. But it's just something you gotta deal with in the Royal Kingdom. But space incest, there you go. Or all other messed up shit. And just like make that a glorious pile of just like, you know what? I don't know what's happening anymore, and it's convoluted, but you know what? It's pleasing me.
What is 3/4 of the Stellaris mods?
I was about to say, yeah.
Oh man, but what was I was about to say something, but it just slipped. Oh yeah, I had a video game idea once, and it was called Butler Simulator.
Butler Simulator.
So I think smaller. I think I want a game where you play as a butler to an eccentric billionaire.
Yeah.
And you just gotta like meet all of his weird ass demands. See, I think small.
I went to college for game design, and we had a class where we would write an essay about like a game idea we had, and my idea was it's a VR game where you're working in an office and you have a promotion at the end of the day. You just have to make it to the end of the day, but you end up having a heart attack. So you make a deal with the devil that if you can convince everybody that you're still alive and get your promotion at the end of the day, then he'll give you your soul back. So it's just throwing around a ragdoll in VR.
I like that idea. That's the thing about VR. It's so easy to concept a game within VR. Like I once had the idea for a VR game where you're like literally a vampire guy has to go and kill vampires by prying open coffins and then like staking them by doing the motions. It's that easy to come up with like a game concept in VR, but it's that no one buys VR. No one wants to make any of those games.
Exactly.
So that's like the worst thing about it. Is like you can concept a game or a really good game idea, but it's just getting someone to buy it and put that much money down is hardest thing.
I enjoy I obviously don't have the ability, but like if I did, I always bang on about it in Q&As. I just want an ODST VR game is just like begging. Like it's just
so you like get fired down the service.
Yeah.
Sorry, you get fired, Team Raven.
I really want an ODST XCOM game, like a Halo Tactics game. Like I think that would be great.
Yeah, where you just like take your hand out and move your units around. Like there's been a couple of like VR RTS games, but I don't think anyone cracked it just yet.
We need Owlcat to make a Halo game.
Yeah, yeah, why not? They could do it.
They can absolutely do it.
That's something I think we should also be. We should also see in the industry more. More studios that didn't create something getting the reins to make something new out of an old product like that. Whereas sometimes, say, some other team made a Witcher game or something that sort of like how like a Larian just made Baldur's Gate 3 instead of BioWare. Like that. That's what I want to see more of.
Just my gold standard for this has always just been Ghost in the Shell, where it's just like every version of that property is just its own take. It has had a little bit of a problem recently of they're going a little bit too much on the relying on SAC, but even that can only go on for so long because the actors and stuff like that are only kind of there. And even the different versions of SAC still have at least some unique characteristics. There's generally this understanding that every version of Ghost in the Shell is equally valid and equally free to just do whatever its own take is. Like, there's no particular issue of like, if you redesign Kusanagi, that's fine because she's been redesigned basically every single time.
Yep.
So it's just like, is she in charge? Does she have slightly purple hair? Maybe. Like, not even that. That's still up for debate. It's like, that's fine.
Is this a bad time to mention that I've never seen anything related to Ghost in the Shell?
Go watch Ghost in the Shell. It's really fucking good.
It's for like an 80s like sci-fi cyberpunk setting. It's really good. The fact that we don't have an actual like modern day good Ghost in the Shell game is kind of criminal because it's. I was hoping for that after Cyberpunk came out. Is like, you know what? Maybe this is the time to finally make one of those. So far, hasn't happened. But then again, I'm still waiting for like a remake of Deus Ex as well, and hasn't happened either.
For whatever reason, as a kid, I always thought that like Mirror's Edge and Ghost in the Shell were like somehow related.
I can see why do the character design actually. She does. I think she might have been inspired a little bit, but yeah, the hairstyle and the face are kind of similar in ways. Besides the animationness of Ghost in the Shell's major, but the environment is entirely different. Mirror's Edge is all like clean white lines and like like totalitarian. Yeah.
That's exactly why I think the little me was an idiot because they look nothing alike. Because like the actual series look nothing alike.
Well, you gotta give yourself a break. Little of all of us had some really stupid ideas.
Yeah.
I have more stupid ideas than most.
We all think that about ourselves.
Should I introduce Dartigan to Pilk?
Oh God.
I think I've heard this before.
No. Yeah, you've heard of Pepsi. I tried it with pickle juice once upon a time. I don't recommend it.
Actually, it sounds kind of appealing to me.
No, it's not. Trust me, it's not.
Pickles be good,
You know what, Dart? Go ahead. My DMs are open if you want to come and yell at me for putting you onto this.
No. Like I'm a person who grew up eating crackers and potted meat, literally cat food, and what were human cat food, and saltines. I can stomach it, man. I would eat cat food as a child. I never did that though.
I drank coolant as a child because I thought it was Kool-Aid.
You thought what was Kool-Aid?
Coolant, like engine coolant for cars.
How are you alive? That's like
I got my stomach pumped soon after.
So, you drink like antifreeze? Like, I hear it tastes good.
Listen. It was in an unmarked blue bottle, and I opened it up, and the liquid was bright green. What else was a 5-year-old to do but to drink it?
Hey, and look, all I'm saying is she drank antifreeze, and she's not frozen. So
I mean, that is true.
Y'all put in way too much effort. I just bashed my head on a wall, like fucking.
I did that too. I have a bunch of scars on my hairline from that.
Most of my childhood injuries came from me, like literally, like getting cut up because someone leave that threw me off. I got like a bunch of scars on my wrist. It looks like I tried to kill myself, but no, they're all childhood injuries because I was accident prone and fell on glass, and no one believes me. But I was very accident prone as a child, but so my wrist is all scarred up, but they're really cool, badass looking scars that get chicks. Did I use the word chicks? Holy shit. Girls. There we go. Chicks, bro. Let me get my leather jacket on and, get my Harley.
I've got a scar on my hairline from when I fell off of like a second floor balcony and hit concrete.
I'm glad that all of us as children, tease death a little bit. You know what? Puts bravery in you for the rest of life.
Children get a buff to fall damage.
I don't have any fun stories of near death.
Well, you know what? Maybe helicopter parents are a good idea sometimes. Like, don't go out and play in the old barn where all the hypodermic needles are at. Which is what I did, by the way. Played with some like old diabetic ladies' needles once as a child.
Wow.
Fuck yeah!
They just put them in a box and stored them in a barn. I found them like, I'm gonna play doctor.
See, I would chew on those if I were you.
Thankfully, they'd remove the metal needle part, so it was just like the plunger. But it's still pretty gross when you think about it.
Oh, then I would absolutely chew on them. I love chewing on plastic things.
Diabetes medication.
I don't think insulin is plastic.
Yeah, maybe it tastes good. I don't know. So it's like, hey, don't knock it till you tried it.
I think you're going to knock it once you try it.
Well, hey, it keeps people alive, so it can't be too bad for you. They should take too much.
I'm gonna knock it like it's a bunch of Mormons with a quota.
Let's go to the bar. I need some insulin. Put it in my drink. Make that here, right?
I'll have to put up all this conversation as like a bonus video on my channel.
I demand that you do, because you know what? That's what the people demand. They demand the after show.
Yeah.
I'm 2 for 2 for bonus videos. Let's go.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because you were in the Destiny.
Yeah, the fucking Witch
super
Queen
extra
one.
long Destiny one. Yeah.
Yeah.
We played through Destiny Witch Queen when that was new, and there was just so much funny stuff that happened during that I made it into a full hour-long video.
Is it weird that I know nothing about Destiny? I've never played.
No, don't attempt to.
I've just never had any interest at all in it. I was like, I remember seeing as like this. I don't think I'm going to be playing this. And I never did. And then I was surprised when to learn there was a sequel at some point that it was still going. And it's like, well, I guess it still exists. But I kept wondering, are people still playing this game? Because I don't want to like use my own circle of friends who like play games. Like, I don't know anyone who plays this, but I have to, because I just don't run into anyone who even knows or talks about it.
Well, if you want me to regale you about all stupid bullshit,
covered a few of the Destiny 2 expansions because they're just bad. they're just bad. And
so they're making a marathon game now, right?
Yes.
They are making a marathon game.
And it's like apparently bad, or it's like it seems like everyone thinks it's bad.
Okay. So marathon. It's an extraction shooter now, and all of the art, like the main textures, the whole aesthetic was effectively plagiarized. The actual gameplay loop is fun. Don't let anyone lie to you. It is actually kind of fun.
When I saw the level design, or like the way the levels looked, it did look very Mirror's Edge to me.
Going back
it's
to that very,
it's very clean and like white and bright
colors. Yeah.
I kind of think of it as I sum it up as Mirror's Edge meets Titanfall. Like it's sort of this uber clean sci-fi aesthetic, but with kind of more mechanical parts and kind of like, more sort of muddy kind of jungle kind of environments, kind of more basic kind of world that kind of contrasts sort of the soldiers, which I like the look of, but it's just one of those. I think the case of Marathon, it's a combination of just the absolute worst of timing, both for Bungie and also just for the type of game that it is. Like it was kind of a wombo combo of the type of game that it was and that it was Bungie during a time that, of course there will always be Destiny fans, but I think even that group of people were kind of sort of fixing for whether it be a new game or a big overhaul or something. But I know there's a lot of frustration at that same time.
I would say Bungie needs to make just a regular like multiplayer. No, a regular single player game with a multiplayer component again. I feel like they've gotten a little too live service brained, and it's like, just come on, you guys can do this. You don't need to make every game a live service game. I know they make you a ton of money when they land, but when they don't land, you end up everyone's just burnt out on them, I would say.
Well, it is just an industry thing in general, unfortunately. Like I remember I talked to a dev who he's now been at another studio for about 2 years, but when I talked to him, he was jumping around and he told me like 60 different major devs. Like he essentially told me like name a major AAA company, and he talked to them. And in all the interviews he gave, this was like 3 years ago at this point, but he said every single one of them during the job interview when they were talking to him said, "So our next game is a live service."
Yep. Oh yeah. That's what the publishers are pointing to, because they know it's a gamble, but if it pays off, then they just have a license to print money for the next 3 to 5 years.
Yep.
When I had like a debate with somebody like somewhere about this years ago, where it's just like, because I was talking to them about Baldur's Gate 3, because they're talking about, Ray, do you really mean to tell me that Baldur's Gate 3 is going to do nothing positive for the genre? It's like, no, I'm not saying it's going to have no positive effects. What I'm saying is that you are not going to get more games like Baldur's Gate 3. You're going to get you didn't get more Breath of the Wild, you got Genshin Impact.
Yep.
You didn't get more Witcher 3, you got Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Like, you're going to get a version of the thing that exists, but now it has more microtransactions and more addiction, parameters around it.
Oh yeah. I would say the only thing that's actually reminded me of Baldur's Gate 3, I think a lot of other people noticed this as well, was Expedition 33. That's why it got so much
Yes.
praise.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only. I don't know if they were inspired. I think it was clearly in development long before Baldur's Gate 3 came out, but it had that same feel. Like this was something the developers truly loved, and they didn't have to compromise it for like I guess for publisher reasons to make it into like a multiplayer game or something more of like an action RPG. They just made like we're gonna make Final Fantasy X only French. And you know what? That turned out to be a much better idea that most people probably wouldn't have actually thought would be a good idea.
Yeah,
And you know
no,
what?
like
And it's probably gonna be Game of the Year this year too.
Yeah, the inspirations, not the aesthetic, but like the inspirations gameplay wise I got from Expedition 33 were like Persona 5 and the Mario RPGs.
Oh yeah, it's one of those
Yeah.
games where you can like literally see every single game they were inspired by. So Persona 5, Mario RPGs, Final Fantasy X was a big influence on it.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if Nier Automata was, but the kind of like hopelessness of the world definitely reminded me of Nier Automata a little bit, especially with the philosophy angles that they throw in there every once in a while. But yeah, it's pretty. It's not like ripping off, but it's like very obvious. Okay, these are the games these guys love playing, and the games they definitely went to when they're like, yeah, let's design this thing.
well, if that's something I've noticed that's been changing both in indie and the mid market is that a lot more companies are getting comfortable with just copying the things that work wholesale and like
Oh, yeah.
understanding that, you know, if you're copying something but you're using it correctly and it's also a thing that itself works, and like there's no sort of shame in that. Like that's an open, like nobody owns the cell shade, like the good cell shading art styles of like the games from the 90s like Jet Set Radio. No one has a copyright on that. You can just go and do that similar thing if it suits your game and it suits it well. There's been an issue, being that like I play like a lot of racing games. I'm in like the sort of that space. And like one of its problems is that they spend way too much time overhauling basic shit like UI, where in the recent years, one of the reasons I've been getting better is because they're just copying stuff that works from other games. And it's just like, why didn't you just do that the whole time? Like if you had a matchmaking system that worked 10 years ago, why did it take you 10 years ago? Hey, we're going to copy this. And then like, just copy paste into it.
Yeah, it really feels to me that like, there's the big separation of like user experience versus user interface design. And it's like, why would we pay somebody to make UX when we can just have the guy who does UI make it? And then you end up with stuff that's functional, but not good.
Nintendo tells me other things though, and that they think all these things we just discussed are incorrect, and they want to sue people for like kind of being inspired by their games. They're like, you know what, we disagree with it. Pokemon, no, putting something in a ball, that's fucking ours. Sanity effects, that's where the TV gets muted or pretends to, that's ours too. And I'm kind of wondering what else I do wonder what else they'll try to like make like, no, that's ours, you can't touch. They're going to take that ball home with them too. So there's gonna be something probably like Pikmin, like no plants, no, we grow plants, and no.
Plants were invented in Japan.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if they tried to copyright Mario's color on the fucking color wheel.
Red and blue,
Like
no,
that
we own
very
that
particular,
spectrum.
like that particular red. They tried and copyright that shit.
No,
I mean,
no,
it wouldn't be the
farther.
first time
They'll
somebody,
copyright
like-
Italians. Italians.
Copyright Italian.
That's ours.
I don't want to be Nintendo property. Oh, mamma mia.
Pizza? No, it's ours too. Yeah,
It wouldn't be
it's
the
a very
first time
good-
somebody put a copyright on a color, because like, isn't Vantablack copyrighted or whatever?
There are. Yeah, I think that one is
I thought Vantablack was a material. I think Vantablack is more like a compound than it is a material.
the darkest color. Yeah, I mean it's used for like very special operations. But I do think you'll see more pushback because we're seeing so many games now that are just clearly like what they're inspired by that we were discussing. But you also start seeing more lawsuits like Nintendo's doing from other companies as well, because they're gonna be like, wait a minute, we're not using this franchise, but someone else wants to make it. We can have that.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
So
I've had a video idea for eons that I can't do because I need to get an entertainment lawyer, and I obviously don't have the fucking money to go pay one to go think about this shit. But
Oh yeah.
there's just this thing. So in copyright, there's this idea of the 10% rule, which is that if you make a thing and it's within a 10% range of difference, like, however you quantify that, then it can skirt copyright law. So like in GTA is a good example. In GTA 5, all the cars, if you're a nerd and you know which ones are which, it's so fucking obvious which ones are which.
yeah.
Which one's a Mustang, which one's a Koenigsegg, which one's a McLaren. But they change it just enough, to skirt short by within the 10%
Legally distinct.
rule. Yeah, to make it just legally distinct enough. However, there's another like subsector of games in the racing genre that are like from mid-market or small developers or like some Russian devs that just straight up have the cars. Like the most obvious example is this game that was one that came out in the 2000s, had licensed content, got re-released. However, it doesn't have any of the badges and it doesn't have any of the names, but all the models are exactly the same. It's so obvious that all they did was go into a game that already exists, delete the badges and change the names, and that's it, but kept the exact same models that are meant to approximate the real things one-to-one. And I'm just sitting there going like, that can't be legal, because if it is legal, why the fuck is anybody paying for this shit? Like, it's totally... And the weird thing is, at the same time that's happening, Call of Duty dropped the names for its guns, and it hasn't gotten into trouble whatsoever.
Don't they pay a lot of money to use those rights, though, in Call of Duty?
No, they stopped doing that. They changed the names of all their guns, so now they don't
So it's just,
have...
So it's not the Desert Eagle, it's a Desert Hawk now or something like that.
Yeah, it's not an MP5 anymore. It's not
most games actually
anymore.
most games have actually stopped actually using actual game guns. They just do it. Like famously, weirdly, to bring it to Metal Gear Solid, Revolver Ocelot in Metal Gear Solid 5 does not use a revolver. The Smith & Wesson 357 that he always traditionally used. He says he uses like his made up like sci-fi looking bullshit, and it's like, that's not right. So it's there's a few times where like the character is like kind of attached to their gun, is like this is the gun that they use, that kind of screws over as well.
Yeah, it's just a thing of like, I've just had it would, if the scenario is that it is in fact legal, then I'd be making a video just called something effect of like, no, you don't need these licenses. These companies can go fuck themselves, just go to town on them. And then if the answer is it is illegal and we just don't bother with these companies because they're too small, well, then it's just like, okay, so if you're an indie or mid-market, do it. And then if your game gets too big, then just release a patch and change it.
Yep. I think there's some old games that are kept from being re-released for a long time because they use licensed material like that and they don't want to pay for the rights to like remake it. I think actually Metal Gear Solid 4. I don't know why I'm Metal Gear Solid braining right now, but it's just what I'm going to because I know a lot about that series. Metal Gear Solid 4 used a lot of actual real weapons, and for long until just recently now they're going to be re-releasing it, but it was stuck on the PlayStation 3 and Konami refused because I think a lot of the weapons were like licensed and they didn't want to pay for that or remodel them or whatever. And also the music as well. There's a bunch of licensed music in it. But the licenses do screw over like older games getting like a fresh coat of paint or being released on newer hardware so people can still continue to play them for that same reason. And I think that's one of those things that's like, I want to play that, but I can't.
There's a theory that the only reason so many, beloved racing games from the 2000s can't come back is because of one car, which was the McLaren Mercedes.
I was going to say McLaren.
Yeah. Because and the theory is that nobody knows which of the two actually owns the right to it. So they just, they don't make that phone call.
Remember, devs, Among Us only got in trouble with the Geneva Conventions after it got big.
Yeah, and then there was stuff like the abysmal 10th anniversary of GTA 4. They just had an update to the game that they just removed a bunch of music and didn't fix anything.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I remember. I think I remember. I actually replayed through GTA 4 not long ago, and I think the opening song when you first get into the car after Cousin Roman picks you up is this like really interesting like Russian track. It's like doot doot doot, but I'm going to embarrass myself trying to hum it there, but it's like, I don't know, for me it struck a chord, but I think when I replayed it, it's a completely different song playing when you first get into it. And it's like, this doesn't feel right anymore. Yeah. It's like, this does not line up with my memories.
No,
and there's just so many,
It's just a reason why what happened with the Crew recently. I find that not only is it possible for fans to resurrect the game, a lot of the time they're way better about it than an official project would be because they're not operating under the exact same constraints of their businesses and the legality of it all. Like an official company like Rockstar, they have to remove the music from that old game if they don't have the licenses for it. Like they have to do that by their position. Whereas if it's just a save file on someone's PC, that no one owns the right to that particularly. No one can say, no, you're not allowed to have, the music from this 20-year-old game, feature in your playthrough.
Oh yeah. That's why I'm looking forward to, weirdly, the fan remake of Oblivion, Bethesda's Elder Scrolls Oblivion, even though we just got the remake from Bethesda themselves, and it's like a 1-to-1 remake, but they're using Unreal Engine, weirdly enough, Unreal Engine plus their own engine underneath of it, so it's a mess. Whereas the fans are remaking in the Skyrim engine, which I feel, just feel slightly better, or at least I'm hoping for. But I don't know. I have more excitement for that than the surprise announcement. Like, oh, here's Oblivion, by the way, from Microsoft.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, the fear that everybody has about like sort of this, copyright free areas. It's like, well, what if, everybody just makes their own version of Elder Scrolls? And it's just like, yeah, they will. And 98% of them will suck. And it's just like the two that are good will surface, and those will probably be better than what would have existed without that, so many people, throwing their hands at the ring.
A game that is made to be modded like that is like the ultimate way of evolving your game and keeping it in people's hands and playing it longer than people would be in the industry. Like, look at Doom. People are still there playing Doom just because the mods keep it going. Like, My House was like a recent Doom mod that was winning awards because it's so good.
You get free developers that you don't have to pay. You get free QA testers you don't need to pay. You get free beta testers who will do it out of their own spare time. And yet, there's all these benefits, and companies won't go for it because they lose a little bit of agency.
Because shareholders are like, we want to sell DLC. We don't necessarily want people making free stuff, even though it's clearly, I think, proven that a game that is like has a strong mod scene is way more valuable in the long term for keeping a game alive and continue making money than it is to just sell like a few pieces of DLC, then just like forget about it. Like, we're moving on.
That's what's been nice about like 343 putting out mod tools for Halo MCC, so that the modders have like more powerful options for creating mods for the games. And then the modders can see that their tools are a bunch of nonsense, that like Halo 4 is coded by monkeys, but
I will admit I'm not the biggest Halo fan. I used to really like it. I played the hell out of Halo Reach. That's kind of like my endpoint for this. That's like my endpoint of the series. I didn't really care about it once Bungie stopped making them. And I have tried to like thought experiment ways you could like revive that franchise, because they tried remaking the first 3 games in the Master Chief Collection. They tried to like do all this new stuff with like make it kind of an open world game with Infinity. And the only way I can think they could probably save it is if they've like literally like made it a more mod friendly series and let the fans actually just make whatever they want, which they've kind of experimented with their online with the Forge stuff before, but take that and make it even, just give them more tools to do whatever they want. Can just get weird with it, get freaky, do something, put feet in there.
It's not a mainstream franchise anymore. There's no other game that has Halo's gameplay loop anymore in its specific pacing and style. So yeah, the idea of like every 10 years you're going to make this all or nothing bet where you try to shove into the public sphere. It's the thing in general of, you are not the one. Like, okay, you can go out there and tell people that Aliens Colonial Marines is canon. You can say that. No one cares. And no one will pay attention or follow it. Like, it's there's this disrespect that on both ends, that art is always a two-way conversation. And like both fans and creators both need to respect that and understand that neither of them are the ultimate king owners of it.
Oh yeah. I think there's an argument to be made that Halo is a victim of its own success too, because essentially every game out there now is Halo or has some of Halo's DNA in it, because it was the game that figured out how to do FPS on consoles. I mean, it's just, I hear someone right?
No, I just died. It's fine.
Well, it's like you would be surprised at like how much of modern FPS is originated in Halo. It's like a dedicated grenade button, that was Halo. A dedicated melee button, that was Halo. 2 weapons, that was Halo. Like
auto aim, that wasn't shit. Halo.
Yeah, basically everything that is in any modern FPS game, it's not an arena shooter like Doom or like those kind of games, or a battle royale, I guess, which is its own thing. But even though they still borrow elements, but all the actual gameplay elements of like limited weapon selection, the dedicated grenade button, dedicated melee button, the recharging health to make it so you don't constantly have to hide behind walls or backtrack to find health kits. All of those innovations really just made it, okay, this is actually fun. Because I remember trying to play FPS on a console before Halo. I think it was like Medal of Honor 1 and 2. And it was just like you had to like hold a button if you wanted to like take control of the mouse and move up and down, or you had to like press L1 and R1 to like turn your character left and right like a tank or something like that. It's like weird tank control. That's what they tried. It's like, well, but they were like, hey, we have another analog stick here. Let's use that. And they basically figured it out, and then everyone kind of just like, I'm going to say it made sense to rip them off on that because you had to. That's like, why would you?
Well, that's the thing is that it took a long time. Like I've this is another video idea I've had in the back of my head for a long time is what was the first actual game to like finally catch up to Halo's controls, because it took like,
I think it was Call of Duty, honestly.
It was.
Yeah,
It was Call of Duty,
like
yeah.
it was kind of Call of Duty, but it's like the thing. It's like I kind of want to sort of pin down like what was the actual like path, like what was the actual are there any outliers? Because it's like like I know so one of the earliest that actually it's not quite Halo's quality, but it's relatively close was actually Max Payne on the Xbox. That actually was really close.
Another good genre, another good video idea for you. There was like a time period, a brief time period where you had a bunch of Halo clones come out that were like, okay, they tried their best to copy. They kind of failed. There was like one called Brute Force or something like that.
Did anyone play Pariah?
Pariah. I know there's one from Orson Scott Card as well, but I forget that. It was like they had his name on it, but it was like a weird third-person shooter that was also like Halo. But they all want to have like they all want to have like their vehicle sections and.
Yeah, no. There was two. It was either Two Human or Advent Rising. It was one.
Advent Rising. That was it.
Yeah.
Two Human was I think that was the weird game from the Silicon Knights who made that was them. Then they got sued out of Oblivion not long after that because they ripped off the Unreal Engine. But the Halo clone era was brief, but it was there. And I think it really was when I personally checked my own memory of it. Probably Call of Duty Modern Warfare was like the end of Halo, and it's never been like quite gained back what it had going for it because they just like kind of like condense what Halo had into a much tighter product. Even though the lore and everything, I have no real interest in Call of Duty's like characters and lore and everything else like that, because I don't know, it just doesn't really interest me, except for like I guess some World War II stuff. But I don't know. I think that was when I look at it and like check my own sense of like what it would work. It's probably then, because I can't think of anything else that would stand out as like because there was a bunch of things that wanted to be the Halo killer, like Killzone and all that, and they never managed it. And I don't know. That's just what comes to me in my mind to that particular issue.
I think the most unfortunate thing about like Halo not being popular and like mainstream anymore is literally just because they didn't have the means to support it immediately after Infinite's launch, because the multiplayer coming out and everything, people were very, very positive and it was very, very popular. And then they just didn't update it quickly because there had become this industry standard of like, you need to be able to update the game consistently with new stuff. And like, the Halo Infinite multiplayer is still fun, and it's got a ton of stuff in it now, and it's totally worth going back to. But nobody's gonna come back to it because they're a lot slower at updating the game than everything else. And I think that's really what killed it.
The worst thing you can always, I that other channel I mentioned, Examiner Life of Gaming, he said something I totally agree with, which is the worst thing you can do with good gameplay is make the player tired of it. And that's, I think, exactly what Halo Infinite did, is that it just did not, it had such a good loop that everybody was for, and was getting, whether it was new people or people who, like my friend, like I remember playing Infinite with like a friend who had, and like, we hadn't played Halo together in like 6 years. And then like we were doing like ranked lobbies again, and we're like going up ladders, and we're like playing custom games, like kind of sort of reliving those old days. But there just wasn't enough content flexibility, for us to not get tired of it, after a month or two.
I agree completely with that, because I had not really got into Halo for a while, and Infinite I did play a lot of the multiplayer in. I think I had like 100 hours in there, so I played a fair amount, and I just one day like, I think I'm done. And then I was like, but you know what? They chose a different path. They chose down the path of we need to make Cortana sexier, and they did that for several games in a row. And then they got shy about that. They're like, you know what? Put her back in clothes. That's the wrong direction. They couldn't stick with it. They should have just, give her an OnlyFans page or something. That's what the people want these days.
That's exactly, that's the commentary I always hear. I always hear, man, I stopped playing Halo because Cortana wasn't fuckable enough.
She was the reason, right? Well, to be honest, was the reason for a lot of them probably. Like naked girl talking in my ear, whispering, sexy. But it was just funny to look at the transition of her character, though. I got to admit, it's like you look at it, it's like, something seems different every game. It's
I don't mean to be abrupt, but I'm hungry.
Hungry?
It's been fun chatting with all of y'all, so I'm gonna go.
Yeah, we are like an hour and a half over time, so yeah.
I'm gonna get myself some hot dogs.
What are you putting on your hot dogs? I'm judging you for it. There is a correct answer.
I will not tell you, so you have to forever sit here and like, in a angry like, grr, what the fuck was this person doing?
No, that's actually entirely respectable. It's the first time that someone has fucking refused to answer. Good job. But however, that does mean that I'm going to be imagining you putting a whole onion on top of your hot dog.
Okay, whatever.
You gotta use onion relish, man. Ain't a whole onion.
No, the whole onion.
Live and let
Peel
live.
and everything. Hashtag Racevic eats whole onions on his hot dogs.